have missed, that's standing behind me or something, But we go way back, and it's certainly it's wonderful to be here to spend time with him. But it's also great to be here with you again. I came, what has it been, about 8 years ago, I guess, and to also see how you've grown. I mean, you were in the process of pushing these walls out both ways, but it's kind of not quite done, but it looks gorgeous, and you're just doing a great job and great things. And I get your email letter, so I sort of see some of the things that are going on here and know what's going on around here to some degree. Well, I'm sure that many of you know some parts of the story about the history of MCC and about our movement, which began 45 years ago this year. But I want to tell you, I want to retell part of that story once again. For if you've heard it before, then I'm retelling it. And if you haven't heard it, then it'll be new. Reverend Troy Perry felt called to start a new ministry, and when that call came, he was working at Sears Roebuck Company in the dry goods department. And so one day he was sitting in his little back office in Sears, and he took out a piece of paper and he asked himself, what kind of ministry is this new venture going to be? Well, the first thing he was really clear about from the beginning was that it was going to be a church. So he wrote down the word church. And then he asked God if this special outreach should be an outreach to the gay community. So he wrote down the word community. And at the same time that he was clear about this was a church and that it was going to be focused for the gay community, he also was clear that this was going to be a church that was going to serve a really large community, like the entire metropolitan community of Los Angeles, the whole area. So he wrote down the word metropolitan, and he also, in writing that down, he realized that this was going to be bigger than just the gay community. It was going to be a church for all people. So from those humble beginnings in the back office of a Sears Roebuck dry goods department come the words Metropolitan Community Church. And so today I want to talk a little about the word community because it's been in our name from the very beginning, and it's also a part of your stewardship series, which is focusing on these 4 core values of MCC, and one of those is community. Now, sometimes when we think about community, we tend to kind of look around us, and we just sort of see the immediate people who are right there in front of us, and it's easy to look around this room and sort of see the tangible and real part of community that's just right here. And sometimes we forget that there are other folks out there that are not yet here, that are part of that community. They haven't made it to this place on their journey yet. And very often, it's not about so much about getting the word out there and sort of telling them, the sort of evangelism piece. But the part about making community is about making room for them when we get here. Now, you got extra seats today, but sometimes I'm sure this room is a little fuller. And that actually physically means you need to get up and move over and make room physically for people. And you did that by pushing out these walls. You made the room bigger so that when people came in, they didn't feel crowded. They felt like they had a little room and some space, and they could have their own personal space. But, it's about more than making physical room for people. It also means that you have to make room for people in your ministry positions, in your leadership positions. I've been to some churches where folks are just so territorial and so possessive that, turf wars break out about various ministry areas in the church because people are just really protective about that. And that's just within the church. Never mind somebody from the outside getting in. Now, of course, I'm sure that never has happened here. But growth always involves change. You know, folks say all the time that they want to grow, but then they don't want to change anything. And so it's one of those things that change, if we want something new and we want it to grow, sometimes some things have to be different. We can't just keep doing the same thing we've always done and expect things to be new and things to happen and to move and to progress. Now, the name of this church is Metropolitan Community Church of Baton Rouge. And if it wasn't clear before, that means that you're called to be church for the entire metropolitan area of Baton Rouge. This is not just our little church here that we can just keep to ourselves. We are called to be church for the entire community. And you know, there are many folks out there, and I haven't even been here that long, but there are many folks out there who consider this to be their church, even though they have never been through these doors. They may know that you are here, and they may find a huge sense of solace and a huge sense of comfort just in the fact that they know you are here for that moment in time, if and when they may eventually need you. Can't tell you how many times in my life, whether it was in Raleigh or whether it was in Dallas or whether it was in Las Vegas, where I've heard people say, I've run into them at the bar and various other places, say, you know, that's my church. And I've just had to stand there and bite my tongue and think, okay, you don't know who I am, but I'm there every week. And I've certainly never seen you there before. So the reality is you are community for people you don't even know you are community for. You serve a much larger community than you really realize you are. You're community for the people who are here every week. And then you're also community for the people who come here on a regular basis. I would venture to say that this, whatever your, what does it say over there? It says 47, I think. I don't know if that's your average attendance. That's what you had last week. But you could probably double that and say there are about 100 people who come here on a regular basis. That means, like, if you don't come next week, somebody comes to sit in your place. And so over a 6-week period, there are people who come regularly, but they're just not here every week. So you actually are probably twice the size you think you are. And then there's also those folks out there beyond the people who are here, beyond the people who come regularly, who have heard about you but just somehow haven't quite gotten up the courage to come yet, or they haven't made it a priority in their life, or for whatever reason they just haven't made time to come yet. And then beyond that, there's that whole community of folks who don't even know you're here yet. And I'm still surprised that there are those people I want to go, are you living under a rock? This denomination's been around for 45 years, but there's still people out there who don't know about Metropolitan Community Church and don't know that we're there. So I say all of those things to say that you're a community that's within a community, within a community, within ever-widening circles of community. And you are sacred space, a sacred place. You are on holy ground here at the center of all of that. But you know, it doesn't just stop with all of those different levels of community that I just enumerated. You, MCCBR, are the largest metropolitan community church in the entire state of Louisiana. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm fairly sure, I may be talking through my hat, but I think this is right. I think you actually have to go over a couple of states before you get to another one that's as big as this. I think you probably have to go to Pensacola before you find another one that's this big or bigger. And I happened to look at a map, and it's over 500 miles from Pensacola to Houston. And you sit right almost smack dab in the middle of this section of the Gulf Coast. You are the anchor church for this whole region. You know, your mission field for your community just keeps expanding and just keeps getting bigger all the time. And not only are you, people here, people in the next level, and all the things I've said before, but you're part of a bigger community, an even larger community. You're part of our denomination, which these 4 core values are that we hold together. A denomination that reaches not just across this country, but a denomination that reaches all the way around the world to touch people who live in fear and who live in oppression and who live in situations that we can't even imagine. Just yesterday I was reading on the Huffington Post, 8 men were arrested in Egypt yesterday. And Egypt's one of the more progressive countries in the Middle East because somebody got married. They had a wedding ceremony on a boat in the middle of the Nile River. I guess they thought that was kind of a safe place because they were out in a boat. But somebody videoed it, it got put online, and the next thing you know, they've been arrested for being gay in Egypt. But your work here, when you put your tithes and your offerings into these offering plates, you not only support the work here, but you support the work that happens on the other side of the globe. The testimony of your faith through your actions, the testimony of your faith through your gifts, touches lives and transforms our world. You are doing just amazing things already here and around the world. But I want you to just imagine for a moment how much more could be done if you increased your volunteer time and the volunteer efforts. How much more could be done if you increased your financial support? Now you are blessed, and he said some great things about me, but I'm going to say some great things about him for a minute. You are blessed with just an amazingly gifted pastor and man of God here, and I don't just say that because he's my friend. I look at the things he does, and sometimes he makes me tired. I'm just like, wow, he is just busy and just doing all kinds of things. And I want you to just think for a minute what he might be able to do on your behalf if he were actually paid to be full-time instead of part-time. And I put that in there. He didn't ask me to say that. He didn't know I was going to say that. But I wanted to put it out there, partly because some of you know that. But I'll bet there's some people in this room that thought he was part-time, he was full-time already. And so I just feel like you need to know he's not being compensated at a full-time rate. And those kinds of things are important for extending the ministry. And that doesn't let you off the hook for doing ministry too. But it means that he can then empower more people to do more ministry if he has more time. Now, I've been talking about larger and larger and larger communities within communities that we are part of, and yet there is one more which we have already experienced a part of this morning, and that's the fact that yesterday and today are All Saints and All Souls, respectively. We are a part of that larger community of faith, that larger communion of saints that's around. And I have to tell you, I was moved to tears. I didn't even know these people, but just the fact of seeing them and the people, thinking about the people who have gone on before us, and how we stand in a long line, a long tradition of communities of faithful people whose witness have preserved the faith that has been handed down to us. We are their heirs. We stand on their shoulders. We are here today because of the saints who've gone before us. We are here today because of the martyrs who have gone before us. We are here today because of the everyday people just like us who have gone before us and who came before us. And today we stand on this hallowed and holy ground because some crazy Pentecostal